Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susan Marlowe, and I'll be doing our webinar today. And I have an assistant with me, Billy Burley, who is the Vice President of Smart Data Strategies, Sales and Marketing. And so he will be helping me today. And I want to thank you. We've got people from all over the country. I especially want to thank some of my special friends that are on here, Steve and Sheree and Garrett and others. And look forward to seeing all of you guys again sometime soon. And also want to thank the ones that I don't know yet. Look forward to getting a chance to know you better. So thank you all for joining. Our topic today is the Real Property Audit service that we're introducing. And I'd like to talk to you about it and let you know a little bit about how it works. We really believe it is a way to increase revenue and improve your CAMA and GIS data through the audit service. For those of you that may not know, IAAO just approved a new standard on the mass appraisal of real property. And while everything in the standard is not new, there are some things that have been vetted out through the appraisal community, desktop review and things like that that are included in this standard. So I wanted to just pull out a few things from the standard that I want to talk about today. The first one is about geographic data. It says assessors should maintain accurate, up-to-date cadastral maps. And I know that many of you are thinking, well, of course we should. We know that. That seems very logical. But the main word I want to focus on is accuracy. How do you know the accuracy of your cadastral mapping? And I'm going to show you some examples of that today and how we can look at that and show you some automated ways of assessing the accuracy of that. Next is the data entry. Data entry should be routinely audited to ensure accuracy. In today's discussion, the data entry that we're referring to we'll be talking about database attributes, things that are in your CAMA system, your database tables. How do you know that information in your CAMA system is accurate? And we're going to show you some ways that we believe that you can improve the accuracy, you can check the accuracy, and then improve on the accuracy of that data. And then this is probably the newest part of the standard, which is the alternative to periodic on-site inspections. It says in the standard that you should use effective tool sets to validate the CAMA data and ways to compare the building dimension data or the footprints in the CAMA system to georeferenced imagery and identify potential CAMA sketch discrepancies. And again, that's one of the things that we'll talk to you about. That's part of the audit service. So we believe that we've discovered a black hole, and we believe there's money inside of that black hole. And that black hole is the costly gaps that exist between your CAMA data and your GIS data, which results in missing revenue for your county and city and other municipalities that you may service. So you may be asking yourself, what is a real property audit anyway? Well, it's very similar to an accounting audit in the fact that it's an independent review of your CAMA data and your GIS data to determine the validity and reliability of your tax information. So again, to identify those costly gaps that exist between your CAMA and your GIS. And I can compare it to myself. I own this company, Smart Data Strategies, and I have a bookkeeper or a controller that gives me monthly income statements. But I still have an independent audit done every year. So again, think of this as an independent review of your information. We start with the primary audit sources. Recent orthophotography or imagery is obviously one of the main sources. And then the parcels on top of the orthos registered to the orthophotography, which in the case of the United States, about 85 to 90% of the parcels are converted at this point. So you should have that in most jurisdictions. And then we import the sketches from your CAMA database. And so what you'll see on the far right there are the unregistered sketches that came directly out of the CAMA system. So those are the primary audit sources. And this is just another example. This is obviously a very complicated example of a house and a sketch that has come out of a CAMA system, a multi-floor, very large home with out structures. So they come into the system as completely unregistered sketches. So there's things that we have to do with the sketches in order to get them registered. And then in some cases, the sketches don't come out at all. Again, this is a very complicated, as you can see, house with it's a curved structure. We're working right now with Apex to work on getting these imported or exported correctly to us, but some shapes just don't come out at all, depending on the sketching system that you're using in your CAMA system. And then, of course, the next thing that we must have would be the attribute tables that are in your CAMA system. This is just an example. We obviously need the parcel number. The parcel number is how we register both the sketch as well as any of these other attributes. We obviously need the square footage, any of the square footage that you have in there, and then any additional things like do you have a pool, things like that that would affect value. And then the lot size or the acreage is another one that we would definitely need to have. So we take select attributes out of the CAMA system. And then we can also use secondary audit sources if they're available, either street view imagery or the oblique photography. If you have that, you'll see on the right, that's the Bing bird's eye view of the oblique photography. And then we begin the sketch audit process, the first step, which is where we verify what is in the CAMA system, if what is in the CAMA system truly matches what is on the ground. It's estimated that about 10 to 20%, sometimes more, of the sketches have errors. So in this case, you now see that we've registered the sketches to the actual orthophotography. Those are in blue. And in addition to registering the sketches that come out as lines, we've actually made polygons out of these sketches so that we can do some comparisons to square footage. And you can see in the blue, those are the polygons that came from the CAMA system. And in the red, you'll see where we've added information, where we found discrepancies in that particular data set that you're looking at right there. So once we've done that, we then go through a classification to classify the information that we're looking at. So we identify if we found an extra structure, if there's a sketch that's missing. Maybe there's maybe you don't have every sketch in your system. No structure found on the parcel. Sometimes there's no visual discrepancy at all. We identify if the sketch is generated incorrectly, if it's mirrored and it does not match, or it's mirrored and it does match. If it's located, sometimes the sketch is located in an adjacent parcel instead of the parcel where the building is actually constructed. We obviously have some oversized sketches. In some cases, we can't see the structure. It's not visible because of tree canopy or something like that on the ortho. We identify any undersized footprints or any footprints that are just absolutely wrong. So that's the classification of the sketches. Now I'm going to show you some examples of things that we do and things that we find. In this particular case, you can see that we outlined an additional piece of this building here. I'm showing you this so that you can see the red identifies the new part of the structure or the unidentified part of the structure, but then we not only just put those lines out there, we actually make polygons out of these so that we can do something to evaluate and analyze the square footage. So in this particular case, you can see that there's an addition both on the right and the left, and it looks like there's also a canopy that is not part of the original CAMA sketch. In this particular case, the sketch is just wrong. We've identified the new sketch. It's outlined in red, and so now you'll know that now you'll be able to see where the new sketch is, and we can actually put that into your CAMA system, put that back and work with you to get that back into your CAMA system correctly. In this particular case, this is a model where you've got tract homes, and they copy one model from one house to the other, to the other, to the other. This is a model that we believe is input correctly. All these examples are actual project examples of the project that we're working on right now. And in fact, that's the reason that we know that this model, it's a model because in this exact same subdivision, you can see here's it's the same model. But again, it is not correct from what was actually built on the property. And of course, this can go either way. This can go in your favor or it can go against you. In this particular case, the sketch is oversized from what's actually built on the ground. So the red is what is actually on the ground again, and the blue is what was output from the CAMA system. In this particular case, again, another real-life example, this is a commercial structure. This happens to be a hotel, and you can see that the square footage in the appraisal record is 13,195 versus 21,158 as calculated on this two-story hotel. You can see the blue outline is an addition where they've added an addition for this particular hotel. So the real pickup in revenue most of the time is in the commercial side. It's where you see that. So again, we're not just doing an identification for you, we're also doing a total. So we're totaling all of the square footages in all of the tables, and we're comparing that to the square footage that you have in your CAMA system. So we're trying to eliminate as many false positives as we can by giving some threshold, say 100 square feet. If it's over 100 square feet difference, then we'll identify it as something that possibly you want to inspect. Otherwise, we're kind of throwing those away unless you wanted to see those. So we're actually doing some comparison there and some algorithms against the total square footage. And of course, you guys know more than I do where the discrepancies come from. There's the obvious unpermitted improvements. I'm sure that no one in your community would go put up a structure and even think about not getting a building permit. So unpermitted improvements is the most expected one. And then you've got the lack of effective permitting systems where there's a laborious system between, maybe it's all manual and they manually bring you the permits, things can get lost, that sort of thing. And then another big reason for the discrepancies is when you move from one CAMA system to another, the conversion process from one CAMA to another can create a lot of those errors. And then, I mean, we're all human. The people that are out there, the appraisers out there that are doing the measuring and listing, there can just be errors. When they go out there, they may not measure it correctly, especially large, complicated structures. In addition, many times the process was taking a property record card out into the field. The appraiser measures it, they draw it on the property record card, and then they bring it back into the office. A clerk does the data entry. So there's a lot of manual processes where something can go wrong in the process. Once we finish with the sketch audit, then we move into the map audit. And the map audit accomplishes several different things for us. First of all, we go through a topology audit to validate the data integrity that you have in your GIS to begin with. This will identify any dangles, slivers, any kind of inaccuracies in the data. And the reason we need to go through this topology audit is so that we can run several other audits against the mapping data compared to the database tables. So one of the things that we do is we run several different reports for you. Number one would be an orphan report where we compare what is on the ground, what is actually on the ground in the map as compared to what's in the database. So we'll give you an orphan report, records that are in the GIS with no match in the CAMA, records that are in the CAMA that have no match in the GIS, or maybe there's multiple matches. There could be duplicates on either side. We're looking for those also. And then, of course, we use this to verify the land area. whether it be the lot size, meaning the total square footage of the lot, or the GIS acreage amount, the amount in the GIS as compared to what you have in your CAMA system. So again, we're looking for discrepancies and errors in the data. We can also run many other queries against the data. In this particular case, this is a query for pools. The ones in blue have a pool noted in the database, and the ones in red are places where there's a pool on the ground, but there's not a pool noted in the database. So there's many other things like this that we can run on the data also. And so that allows us to actually give you a set of deliverables. Number one is a real property audit report, just like you would get a report from your accountant. This is an audit report that details any of the errors that we discovered. Whether we do this on a very large area or just a small sampling area, we can give you the potential effects of the errors, certainly suggest things to do to fix the errors in the database or a process. If we're doing a small area, we can give you a cost-benefit analysis for doing the entire area, and then, of course, give you a forecasted return on your investment based on the things that we actually find in the data. Another one of the deliverables are the geospatial data layers that we deliver. Number one is the sketch layer. And as you can see, the sketch layer is not just a planimetric footprint that you would get from some photogrammetric process. This is something that we have an intelligent sketch layer that identifies the different areas, whether it's a garage area, livable square foot area, porch or patio area, that sort of thing. We give you thematically shaded layers that show the sketch errors, any of the orphan records, any of the mismatches that we found, acreage discrepancies, or any of the audit errors that we find. We turn those into geospatial layers for you. And because we know that the people that are probably going to investigate these are your appraisers, they're not your GIS specialists, we deliver an easy-to-use web viewer so that you can actually look through the data and that sort of thing. And I'm going to turn this over to Billy and let him kind of show you the web delivery system that we deliver the data in.
All right, thank you, Susan. As this pulls up, this is our going to be our web-based GIS viewer. It's actually based on eMaps Plus, our existing viewer that's been around for well over a decade. We've got a very simple map interface. We've got the toolbar up top that shows you've got all the standard tools right there. They're always accessible. They're not covering up the map. We are map people, so I like to keep our map nice and clean and pristine. First thing I'm going to do, though, is just go ahead and search for a property just to get us a subject property. Okay. So now we've got our subject property, and let's just assume this one had an issue. So we really need to do a little bit deeper dive into this property to figure out what the issue was. So the first thing I can do right off the bat in the map is hit my Identify button, and it pulls up a mini property record card, which is data directly from your CAMA system, so just kind of a snapshot view of it. With some basic information, ownership information, I've got some appraisal information, assessment information, then a little more detailed information. And I can also look at that in the form of a report. So this is a report that just organizes the data a little bit better, gives you more detailed information. It's a report that I can export out to Excel or PDF, and then obviously I can save it for later. It's a two-page report. And I'll just point out here, these two boxes are empty, which they're about to not be. But they were empty when we pulled them up because for the sake of speed, we wanted this report to generate almost immediately when you clicked on it, because really that's the kind of level of expectation with anything on the internet. And so we disabled the images by default. So we've got a Show Images button here, so you saw when I clicked that, it will render the images. But in that case, you know it's the images that take a little bit longer. The next tool I'm going to show is we got some simple measurement tools. So I can measure a line very quickly. See, my line is 73 feet. I can also do area, and I've got a couple different options. If I want to measure the square footage of that building footprint of that sketch, I can do that. Or if I want to measure the property, which I'll do now, I just get an acreage measurement. Just going to trace along there. And find out 0.72 acres. So then I can compare that to the CAMA and make sure our acreage calculation is correct. I can print this. So let's say this one was missing a pool in the database. So I can give this a title, missing pool. And I've got a couple options from there, either a portrait or a landscape print preview. So it's going to show me what my map's going to look like before I send it to the printer. So I can see it, this is my parcel, I've got my title, missing pool. And then from here, if I decide to, I can send it to the printer, or I can save this to a PDF, and then I can use it in, if I'm building a larger report or a property report, I can insert this in. The other thing we've built in this system is a simple layer manager, so I can very easily click off and on layers. As Susan mentioned, the sketch classification layers, such as missing pools, or undersized footprint, or oversized footprint, wrong footprint, those will all be built in here as layers. And so I can quickly turn on, you see I turned on the ortho there, I can quickly turn on undersized footprints. And that layer will thematically shade the entire database so you can very easily visualize where those are and then make it easier to inspect them. Now what I did was I turned on the imagery, and we've got a imagery transparency feature. So if I drag my little cursor over, you'll see it makes that imagery more or less transparent. I personally like to kind of be right there in the middle, because then I can still see the imagery. You can see I can see the sketch just a little bit more clearly, but still see the house underneath. So it gives you some flexibility in how you view the data. Okay, now one of the last things I'm going to show is that we've obviously looked at this property. We've been researching it. We've looked at the map. We've looked at the CAMA data. We've looked at it from the sky. So the next best thing to actually going there is going there virtually with the help of our friends from Microsoft and Google. And as I drop my Google guy, he's actually Pegman, drop him in the middle of that cul-de-sac, you'll see it pops up what Susan referenced earlier in the presentation was the secondary sources. So here I've got the oblique photography from Bing Bird's Eye View, which really allows you to see more clearly the different sides of the property, gives you a better view of it. In this corner I've got Google Street View. So once this pulls up, you can see I can do everything I can do in Street View today, which is pan around. Also note as I pan around, you'll notice my Google Maps, that little kind of area of interest changes to show me which direction I'm looking at, as does the bird's eye view from Bing. The other thing I always like to do when I show this is you can drive down the road. If I drive along down this road, you'll see everything changes with me. The little car moves. The orientation of the bird's eye moves. And I can even pick this car up and drop them anywhere that you see Street View available. So that's just a little bit of what eMaps Plus does. I'm going to turn this back over to Susan in a second. If you guys want to see more detail about eMaps Plus and more of the features and functionality that's available, I'd invite you to go to our main webpage, www.sds-inc.com. And at the bottom of the main webpage, there's a button for our YouTube channel. And that's got several videos on eMaps that walk through the entire system and all the functionality available. So feel free to do that. And with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Susan.
Well, thank you, Billy. And I hope that you guys have seen the awesome benefits that could be derived from this audit program. We believe that certainly the mountain of benefits is the increased revenue, and that's obviously one of the things that you're going to immediately see. But then really, we believe that's just really the tip of the iceberg, because we know that you're all about fair and equitable taxation. And as we know, we've got a much more informed public than we've ever had. They have so many resources available to them to search for things and to identify any errors in the public record. And so increased public confidence can certainly not be underestimated in this program, not only to the public, but for you internally, so that you know that you've got good data and you've delivered a good quality product to the taxpayers. And the return on investment, we've seen it as high as 15 to 1, which that means for $1 invested can equal $15 in new tax revenue, and that's not just the first year, but then that's every year thereafter. So the revenue, it's the gift that just keeps on giving in that particular regard. And so I would like to ask you guys to take the next step and identify an area, if you would, that we'd be glad to look at your sources of information, review your data, give me a call. Many of you already have my cell number, or you can email me at smarlow@sds-inc.com,